Welcome back to another meal prep video. If you're after some meal options that are high in protein, check this one out. This is what we've got on the menu for today. Alright, so I'm starting off with some apple pie overnight oats. This is what they look like when they're done. I just put them in some ball mason jars. As always with these meal preps, I don't eat them in any specified order. You don't have to have the same lunches every day. You don't have to have the same dinners every day. I just keep them in the fridge. And so those times where I'm really busy or whatever might happen, I can just pull one of these out and it's super easy, and it means that I'm not off track with my meals. And I save the recipes in my Lifetime app, which is my food tracking app. And that way it adds up all the calories and macros for me anyway. So I'm chopping up 2 green Granny Smith apples, and I'm going to put them in a pan with a little bit of coconut oil. Then into them I'm also going to be adding some nutmeg, some cinnamon. Make sure you get the Ceylon cinnamon, you don't want the cassia cinnamon, and then a little bit of natvier, which is pretty similar to stevia. Then I'm going to cook that for around 5 minutes or so. While it's cooking, I'm going to take 3 mason jars. You can take whatever kinds of containers you like, and I'm going to fill it with the other ingredients. This is the base, this is the high protein part. So each one has half a cup of rolled oats, half a container of Chobani plain Greek yogurt, 1 scoop of protein. I used a cinnamon bun flavor, but you could use vanilla and add in a little bit of cinnamon if you want to keep them apple pie flavored. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of honey because I know I'm having these before training and it's great for me to get an extra hit of carbs before training, but you can leave out the honey if you want. It's going to be sweet enough already. And remember, you could also use this base and then add other toppings. So you could have berries in it or something instead. You don't have to make it apple pie flavored. Then I'm also taking 1/4 cup of almond milk and I'm going to mix that through. This mixture needs to set on its own. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the apple pieces on top, but you don't have to do that. You could just put the mixture in the fridge, and then if you wanted to cook the apples fresh in the morning when you're eating it, if you've got like 5 spare minutes, you could totally do that, and you could have them warm on top of the cold oats, and I think that would be delish. But I just wanted to have it already in the fridge because that way it's a breakfast or like a pre-training snack option that I can just pull out and it's ready to go straight away. Alright, now I'm whipping up a little chicken tray bake. For this one, I just rummaged through my cupboard in my fridge and I grabbed out some veggies that I thought would work well together. You can either do the same or you can go and pick up these ingredients specifically if you want to. The macros are calculated off these ingredients. First, I preheated my oven while I was making the overnight oats, and I preheated it to 180°C, which is around 300 F3, yes, maybe something like that. You may need to Google that because I'm not doing that right now. So what I put on the tray is 1 parsnip, 2 sweet potatoes, they were medium size, 2 carrots, and then I coated them in a roast vegetable seasoning mix. If you don't have access to it, or if you don't have this one, what you can do instead is make something similar with some salt, some pepper, and some rosemary. I like to cook them for around 40 minutes, but halfway through I'm going to take them out and flip the veggies over just so they can cook evenly. Alright, now we're going for some cinnamon protein bites. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen I debuted the recipe on there and on the blog first. So if you're not on my Instagram, maybe you should be, because that's where all the good stuff goes. Okay, so I made a double batch. So ignore the quantities I'm using on the screen and follow the quantities that I put in the sidebar if you want to try out your first batch. The ones that I've listed down on the side will make 20. Right here, I am making 40. What I'm doing, now it looks like I'm using a lot of honey, that's because I'm making 40. So what I'm doing is I'm taking almond butter and honey and I'm putting them in a mixing bowl. Then I'm gonna pop them in the microwave for 30 seconds so they melt. The reason that I'm doing this, you could also put it over a double boiler, but like really, who has time for that? So then I'm adding the dry ingredients. This is why I melted it, because we need to work these dry ingredients together. So there's rolled oats in there, there's shredded coconut, sesame seeds, whey protein, a lot of whey protein. You can see the exact measurements on the side. And then I'm also adding in ginger and cinnamon. Again, I used a cinnamon flavored whey. If you have a vanilla whey, you could use that and just add a little bit of extra Ceylon cinnamon to the mix just to make sure that that flavor really gets through. It can be a little tedious to mix together. You might want to add in a little extra honey or some maple syrup. That does change the macros though. I always just add a tiny touch of water in just to mix it through properly. Then when the mixture sits together, put it in the fridge for about 5 minutes. Then you're going to pull it back out, wet your hands and roll it into the little bite-sized balls. The reason we're wetting our hands is so that the mixture doesn't stick to it. And just for your reference, here is a dirty spoon, and that's about the size there. So roughly a teaspoon, and the mixture, if you follow the ingredients I've listed on the side, it should make you 20. Then pop it back in the fridge for around 20 minutes before you serve, and you can keep them in the freezer as well. Okay, these veggies are halfway done, so I'm pulling them out. I'm gonna roughly flip them over, and then I'm gonna prepare the second half of this meal, which is, of course, the chicken. So I'm cutting up the chicken breast, and then I'm gonna coat that in a chicken seasoning and put it back in. You can be more adventurous with your flavors, but normally I like to serve this with some kind of salt and sugar reduced barbecue sauce on top, that kind of deal. Okay, now it's time to start the tuna patties. Do you guys ever... Please tell me I'm not alone in this. You find a meal that you like and then you just overdo it and you eat it all the time until you hate it. Well, I am going through that right now with these. I love them. I love the macros on them too. So I'm making 6, so I'm using 6 tins of tuna, just the small like 90-gram tin. Okay, so I'm making 6, so I'm using 6 tins of tuna. If you want to make 4, use 4 tins, etc. Then to that tuna mix, I'm adding half a red onion. You can be kind of loose with this. It just depends how much red onion you really want in there. Then I'm going to add some dried parsley and some garlic powder. If you like, I feel like it would go well. If you want to, add some dill. I don't like dill, so I didn't add any, but I think, you know, with tuna, it would probably go. Now I'm adding in 4 eggs. If you want to make 4 patties instead of 6, just use the 4 tins of tuna, but only use 3 eggs. The eggs, you kind of want to step up 1 egg per 2 extra patties. Now I'm adding in 3/4 cup of gluten-free breadcrumbs. If yours don't need to be gluten-free, then obviously ignore that factor. And we're going to mix that through. Now my potatoes and my chicken are done, so I'm pulling that out and I'm going to weigh those. If you saw the macros earlier, that was my serving size. In my serving size of these, I only had 100 grams of chicken. If you want the bigger serving size, it was about 150 grams of chicken, which would change macros a little. Flipping over the tuna patties now, with these, they're pretty versatile. So, I mean, you could have them with a salad, or something that I like to do is have like a heap of green veggies just steamed up with them, like broccoli, green beans, that sort of thing. You can sort of have them with a lot of different stuff. Mitch used them with rice, you know, whatever you feel like. Okay, and last meal, we've got a chicken stir fry, simply because it's easy and it's something that I like just having in the fridge, particularly if I can add some rice to it, then it's a great post-training meal. All right, so that does include the rice as well, but what I'm prepping here in this video is just the base. So I am using frozen veggies. You guys know that I don't always cook the frozen veggies, but I did it this time and I left out the rice, and I'm just gonna heat up the rice when I wanna eat that, because I wanted to cook the vegetables with the flavor on them. So I'm letting the chicken cook on its own for a little bit before I add in a whole bag of stir-fry veggies, and then I also added almost half a bag of frozen broccoli as well, because I wanted extra broccoli in there too. Then I'm going to add some ginger, some garlic, and I'm going to chop up some chilies and then cut out the seeds because I'm a wimp, and then just chop the chili up and place that in as well. I also added in a couple of tablespoons worth of salt-reduced and gluten-free soy sauce, which is a mouthful, and then some sesame oil. And the sesame oil is where the fats in this meal are coming from. So if you want a different sauce option, go for it. I just went for something that's really simple, but that I like the taste of. And as you can see, that's just my instant brown rice, because I can be lazy sometimes, and yeah, I can't help myself. I don't want to spend forever cooking when I eat like 5 meals a day. Alright, so that's it, we're done. So if you're looking for some higher protein options, particularly things that would be great pre and post training, have a go of these. They are incredibly simple to put together and they still pack a bit of a flavor punch for you too, so you're not going to get bored when you eat them. Okay, now I'm going to chuck on the screen the recipe cards for you, so that will contain all the ingredients and the simple steps. If you want any more inspiration or ideas, head on over to my blog Eat, Run, Lift, which you can find linked in the description box, or jump on my Instagram, which is at Rachel Aust, also linked in the description box for you guys. If you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe, and if you're not new, welcome back. How are you guys doing? I hope you're well. Thanks for watching another video. I'll catch all of you next time. Bye!